We're back.
We are back.
We're back.
Hey, look, this
Boy,
is part two. If you're not,
part
if you weren't
two.
aware, we did part one earlier today.
Yes.
Oh,
So look, what a
Yes,
difference a few hours make, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
absolutely. Everybody, like, I think
Definitely.
our nervous system has increased. I only have five, and they're working on all five right now.
You
And they
know
Well,
it.
working on
look,
all
I
five.
know. Our
Huh?
nerve got so good that we brought in a guest. Our
Yeah, oh, yeah,
honorable,
absolutely.
honorable delegate Daryl Barnes. Come on in here, Daryl. Come on
hey,
in here.
That's
Hey,
what I say. We got a man to help
Hello,
us calm
Delegate
our
Barnes.
nerves down.
yeah, we need a politician in the house.
yeah. Hey, listen, I am just glad to be here. I know you guys had round one, so I just wanted to be a part of round two.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
The end justifies the means.
There you go.
This is all that counts. I like the fourth quarter. It's always good.
It's always
Yeah,
a good
it's
quarter.
always
It's the
good.
fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I know that it could be won in the final second. So I'm used to these close calls.
Well, we are
yeah.
definitely in the fourth quarter.
Yes, we
Woo,
are.
boy,
Yes, we
my
really
heart is
are.
just pounding.
We really are. So,
Yeah.
Delegate Barnes, we're going to just ask you to introduce yourself, of course. We know who you are, but many of those may not. And let's tell us what you want us to know as you introduce who you are.
We got Renee in the
We
house.
got Renee in the house. Yeah, we got to get Renee. Hey, girl. I voted. Yes, honey. So, Delegate Barnes, you have the floor.
Well, listen, I am excited to be here because I think this is a really important night, not only for the discussion for us, but for your audience. As the chairman of the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus, uh, I look at this election and the impact that it will have on Black folks around the country. And then not only Black people, but you talk about Black and Brown. Uh, so I am excited. I'm looking at the poll numbers as they come in, just like you all are. And I am sitting on the edge of my seat, hoping that we pull out a victory. But not only are we looking at the presidential election, we are looking at the senatorial races as well, because those things are equally important as we look at reshaping or the balance of power at the federal level. And then we're also what I need everyone to pay attention to are your local races. What's going on not only here in the state of Maryland, but around the country, because there are a lot of other important elections going on, especially with your judges, your county council races, and school board races. All of those things impact your community at an alarming rate that we must pay attention to. So yes, we want to ensure that we get Joe Biden elected, but we also want to make sure that we pay attention what's going on right here at home.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Awesome.
Well, we're
Yes.
loving the fact that you're here with us. I'm very partial to
Oh,
the fact that you're my delegate, no matter what district you're in.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm partial too. That's why I'm here because I just love you ladies to death. And I'm so glad to see my friend Renee on here because, hey, we're going to make sure it don't do what it do.
My fellow Navy veteran. I'm
Good.
so proud of Daryl. I really am. I'm not even put my screen back, so y'all looking at my little back, my green screen. But Daryl, you have been just something else from the Navy to just doing community and for young men and your family, and then breaking the ice to get into that doggone political and else. So you're doing great things. You make us proud. Peggy and I always talk about you.
And
Yeah,
listen, I truly believe it takes a collective effort for anyone to be successful, right? No one man, no one woman can do anything by themselves. That it takes a team in order to get across the finish line, right?
yeah.
So I think the same thing applies in this
right.
election right now. We're all rooting for
Yes.
the Democrats to pull off a win, but it takes everyone to start voting and exercising their right to vote. As I look at the numbers that are coming in right now, I'm worried a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You look
Yeah.
at Florida right now. Florida is
Yeah,
extremely too
that's
close.
right.
So,
Yeah.
which makes me
Too
wonder
close. Too
what
close.
is on the mind of Black people that make them say that I want to continue going down this road of systemic racism and hatred that is coming out the mouth of this president. Anytime
Yeah.
that this
Right.
president talks about Black people the way that he did, and Hispanic people and all walks of life, yet we still are voting and supporting this guy, which really goes to show that racism is just as prevalent today as it was in 1950.
Exactly.
It's just been more sugar-coated, but now with this president,
It's the same.
folks are willing to take off their hood and show their face, and nobody's going to challenge them at all.
Nobody's challenging.
Yeah.
That's awful. And the thing is, too, is that when you think about how close it is, you still have to wonder about just the mind of the country when the values that we hold true are on the ballot. And it's like, is this close? It seems like it's a no-brainer. But
Right. Right.
we keep going, but I don't know. It's crazy.
What is said that down in Florida, Hispanics are really going for Trump.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the Hispanics.
Especially,
Surprising because
especially the men.
Trump came
Men.
in talking about he wanted to build a wall. He wanted to
Exactly.
make sure that they couldn't come into this country, but yet they're still supporting him. For what values do they have, right? Which I just it just bothers me because as a Black man and seeing that how Black men and women have been treated for so many years,
My God.
Yes, my
how
God.
we have been disproportionately set back from healthcare to education to economics. We have always had the
That's
challenge
right.
of trying to be 10 times better than our white counterparts.
Absolutely.
But yet, as I watch the news and I
Right.
hear the rhetoric of Black people,
Yeah.
they're saying, I'm still voting for Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delegate
I
Bonds,
think
I have a
taking back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of wall, he got a wall building around the White House, a wall, mind you,
My
that he
God.
has built around the White House that the taxpayers have paid for. But Delegate Bonds, I want to ask you a question because what I was told, and when it comes to the Hispanic men, because he's got the numbers a little higher with the men voters,
Right.
and it was said that men and the Hispanic men look at him because they like his machoism. They don't look at the policies. They're not looking at anything else per se, but they like him because of a man's man,
Right.
how he takes control and how he has
Right.
this macho ego. And a lot of them are, favoring him because just for that alone, they are having an ego situation going on more than anything. So from a man's perspective, even though we know our African-American men has a way of understanding what it takes to treat a woman, but the values of that and how men can look at what values, and I don't think they have the values in right perspective of that. What do you say to that part?
Yeah, I listen. I think if you just watch him holding an umbrella, it would not cover his wife in the rain.
Yeah.
If you look at him walk up the stairs to Air Force One and leave his wife behind him, what values do you show as a man? Right? If you look at how he talks, how he represents himself and his family, what values does that hold for you to say that I respect this man? When you look at the things how he talks about Dr. Fauci, and you look at all of these things, how he has all the cronyism that he has gotten out of jail. How do you respect someone that has no respect for authority? So I look at those things and I wonder, what could a man look at to say, I want to follow that trend. I want to be like him because he is not setting an example for no man to follow. And especially in the Black community, I hope that no man is saying that I want to be just like him.
I should hope not.
More indication of what's missing on the inside of them. We have to understand that people look and attract themselves to people who are like them. So if there's nothing on the inside of them, if that's the way they treat their family, if that's the way they're treating their wives and all of that, they're going to be attracted to that. But one of the polls said tonight that the most important for the Trump voters, the most important thing was the economy. They did not care about the values.
Yeah.
They did not care about the
Right.
human qualities. So that tells you that our system and our country is on the wrong track. Because if you can discount people and treat them so inhumane, that says that we are definitely on the wrong track, and you have people attracted to that. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Hey,
also
well,
said that
let's,
health and is also low on the totem pole for them, and that I found that amazing. Health above, the economy. I mean, we got to have. They know that he's trying to take away their health care. How could you do that? And how could you support a man or anybody that will take away your health care? You can't take care of your family.
Hey,
What are you gonna say?
take a
Yeah.
moment. Yeah, let's
I heard
take a
that.
moment. We got another guest just walked in the door. Just walked in. Hey, Walla, how are you?
Hey, you guys,
Hey,
I'm
Walla.
I'm on edge right now. It's a
We
scary
all
night. Just my craziness because I almost said I'm almost going to like shut everything down because I can't take it.
No.
But I mean, one of the things, just getting into the conversation, one of the things I want to point out is that people really do not realize how much religion is playing a big part of this, especially in the Hispanic community. I've had to have that same discussion with a lot of those in the immigrant communities who see what Trump is doing when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to their race, but it's about abortion. It's about gay rights. And they feel like, one of the Hispanic supporters that supports Trump says that, this earth is temporary and heaven is permanent, and we need to answer to God about supporting abortion. So one of those things we could talk about is how can somebody look at Trump, those who are the Christian conservatives, and the Christian conservatives are not just white. That is really, they said that a lot of the polling of like a lot of the Hispanic voters that are supporting, a lot of it has to do with religion. Some feel that this is very close to their religion, but how can somebody look at someone who is like Trump? And that's been the argument I've made to them, and support someone like him. How could you do that if religion was truly the reason why you vote against your own interests?
Wow.
If you really believe.
Yeah, well, we won't go down that road of evangelicals.
Yes.
We don't want to go down that road.
But
No, really.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah. But I will tell you, just like Wale said, that the whole homosexuality and the issue of abortion are two of the biggest drivers. But this is what I say to them. If you're going to fight for the unborn, how can you not fight for the born? How can you allow somebody like Floyd to be killed and you say, well, you know what? He had a record. He wasn't that good at. I'm like, so wait a minute.
Right.
Hypocrisy at the highest level, right? And then if you're talking about the gay and lesbian, if you just look at Jesus Christ, he still did not discard people, right? He still worked with them. So how can you now say that just because someone is gay or lesbian, that they have no rights, that they can't be tolerated? And so it's like, you got to first get to the root cause of things before you just discount all these people and discount everything else that's going on. And that's what they're doing, is discounting everything else.
Well,
especially when it goes
they're
to
judging.
It
They
just goes to
believe in
show-
judging other people.
Yes.
It just goes to show the double standard
Yes.
that we have in this
Mhm.
country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which one
Yeah.
has to sit back and question, what values do we actually hold as African Americans? What authority do we actually have? Because if President Obama did the same things that President Trump did,
Come on now.
Never.
the
Never.
problem that I have is not that white America would be upset or calling for his head, but Black America would be leading the pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you have a white man doing these things, and we got Black men saying that I want to vote for him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to figure out, how do we balance this out, and where do we lose our moral
Yes.
in a way that we're being more acceptive to these kinds of things, that he is belittling Black and brown people on a constant basis.
Well, you know what, Daryl and Wall, I'd like to ask you a question on behalf of Four Sisters Live. You know, first of all, we've had 4 years of this shock value, which people are now kind of used to. You know, the ignorance, the disrespect, the, you know, just the lying, just all of that. And then we have, of course, the reality star, Trump, who has taken to tweeting lunatic and not taking care of his presidential responsibilities. But you know, we know how much social media takes just on our own Facebooks. So he's putting a lot of time into that. So my question is, how do we, I mean, it's too late now, it's election day, you know, but how do we empower our people to believe again? Because what I see when you see the Kanye West, you see all these other people, you know, going to Trump, is that because he's powerful in the entitlement, or is that because he really just lost value in our culture? We don't believe that we can do it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just like bring up some of the points, and I thought, because I'm glad you brought that up. The issue is, and I do believe this is a time, because, and you know, I'm praying, and I know we, you know, if Democrats win, one of the things we got to realize is that we have got to make sure that every group is engaged. Many of these Black men are playing sort of the politics of, you've done nothing for me, I'm going to the other side, instead of, and doing it at the wrong time. This is not the time for that. The problem is that when we win election, and I think Delegate Barnes could tell you, when do our people actually get up and start doing something in their community to make change? Why wait till a Trump comes in and Trump is just talking? But let's just face it. What we're talking about police accountability. I went to Forestville 3 weeks ago and stood on the corner with a bunch of people fighting for police accountability. Ask me how many Black men were there. And like when we do a lot of these things for a lot of our men, and they don't show up. So I've been challenging a lot of these Black men that are all been this pro-Trump. I said, well, you know, one guy that's been talking, I said, I've never seen you come to not one hearing. I've never seen you to come to anything. My point is that why they think that nothing is being done for them is because they're not engaged. And we're playing it. And if we want to play the politics of getting more for our community, do it when someone is in office. Don't wait till election time. You know what? When Biden wins this, we need to make sure that we're coming to him with a real plan. Not talk about the trash platinum plan, but a real plan. What are we going to do for our community? What does our community need? And we need to get engaged. It should not have to be Daryl and his friends having to push for the whole community. They should be backed up with a bunch of people. And what the problem is that our Black men will refuse to come out and actually engage. And then now they say, see, y'all supporting the Democrats. Democrats ain't doing nothing for nobody. And they're eating. And some of these people are eating off of, I had someone now that has their whole family there's disability things that they're getting from the government. There's all types of programs that he's benefiting from. And he's telling me that the Democrats haven't done anything for him. And I'm like, brother, you're eating Democratic. You're eating food. The food that you eat on the table is from Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I see, you know, that we have to stop doing is tearing each other down, right? I believe that we do a great job of backstabbing, talking about each other, not supporting one another in a way that does not provide the confidence or leadership that I think other people want to see. You know, I think we have to figure out, how do we uplift one another.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, Biden said it best. You know, we are fighting for the soul of this nation.
Yes, sir.
And in the African American community, you know, when you have leaders out there that's trying their best or even make a mistake, we are the first one to crucify that individual. And I think those are the things that we must stop doing within the African American community, right? The Bible says it's easy to throw the first stone, right? But how hard is it to uplift and encourage somebody to say, yeah, I see your point, but I think if we go this way, we might be able to do it a little bit better, versus condemning the person for at least trying and putting forth an effort, right? You know, I get it all the time as an elected official. I don't like this, I don't like that. But no one has ever come to me and say, I have a better idea or I got a suggestion.
Right.
You know, all I get is he needs to be out of office. I don't like it.
Oh, no.
You know, he's a bum. He's this, he's that. But no one ever comes and says, can we sit down and put together a plan? You know, I got some great ideas too. Maybe you didn't look at it this way. Or maybe we could come together and make something happen. And to Wallace's point, maybe we can pull the community together and talk about police accountability. These are the things that's impacting my community. And these are the things that I like to see happen. Who do I need to talk to versus saying the one in office isn't doing a good job, but yet I have not spoken to the one in office to provide my ideas and suggestions. Those are the things that I think we must stop doing in the Black community. And I think that's where the disconnect comes from a Republican and a Democrat, right? Because we are so easy to tear each other down.
Yes, sir.
Well, Delegate Bonds, when we're looking at how serious this matter is, and anyone could speak on this, and Walla, because I know you in the judiciary system, we know that a lot of underhanded things has gone on even in that area. A lot of these folks that have been appointed in the judiciary system are not even qualified. Okay, so now we have, it works against us. And I think they see that it works against us because a lot of our Black men are not getting what they need to be exonerated, far as it relates to what has gone on since George Floyd.
Yes, ma'am.
And they are discouraged. They're despondent. They are hurt. They've been protesting. Families are hurt. And it's just so much going on until they don't know who to believe. So when you get a Kanye, or when you get a Lil Wayne, or when you get a 50 Cent, this is who they're looking at. And we know we have values. We know we have sons and daughters that we know we instilling values into them. But when they're hearing the brothers talking about the bees, yeah, I got the money, long as I got my bees with me. And we see this is constantly ingrained in our what? Soul.
Absolutely.
We have to figure out, you know, or you know, folks have to understand, why are we actually marching and protesting?
Okay.
Right? Because I think, you know, because I asked some young people, well, why are you guys out here? And they said, because everybody else is out here. So once again, I want to make sure that people understand the magnitude of their voice and the power that they have. And I think that, you know, this is when you have to start having those conversations with those that are in office, especially when you talk about the marching and the protesting. The marching and the protesting leads to change, but it leads to change through legislation and policy. And the only way you can get the legislation and policy change is that you have to have the ear of those elected officials that are in office that's able to make the change that you want. So when you're tearing down that elected official, or you're not supporting that elected official, sometimes it makes it more difficult to get the change that you actually want. When you start talking about connecting the dots and building collaborative relationships, all of those things play a huge part. But I think when you look at those things, that's what's happening from a police accountability standpoint, and the things that we're doing here in the state of Maryland. I think we have heard the concerns of our constituents. I think we have heard from the voices from around the state of Maryland. And that's why I believe you see more and more changes that are about to happen, especially for me during this upcoming legislative session, that's going to be more impactful for the Black community.
And I want to add something. You know, I've worked with a lot of families when it comes to the justice system. And the truth is, it is very bleak. And I would say that when you get into the criminal justice system, you walk in with no money, no lawyers,
Mhm.
and you got a public defender that's overwhelmed and cannot spend much time with you. You talk to them right before your hearing, right before your trial. So you feel like everything is shut down. And to be honest, and in defense of some of these young Black men, there are Democratic elected officials on the other side. So for them, they feel like this system is being created against them. Even when it comes to reentry, that's something we're really focusing on right now. But I remember years ago, my mom did a lot of outreach in the jails. And one of the biggest problems is that these guys come out, a lot of these men, because there are women too that are reentry, and just no opportunities. Jobs will not hire them. People do not want to, kind of keep their distance for them for a while. When minimum wage, that's one of the reasons why we push a minimum wage, because a lot of the jobs that will consider them as minimum wage. And also in the Black community, to give it credit, there is becoming more of a focus on entrepreneurship. And a lot of these guys have to look at entrepreneurship as an option so that they can make money. And to be honest, it's hard to actually be an entrepreneur without investors, most of them have bad credit. They can't get loans. They can't, like sometimes it's like all of these groups have they have walked into just a door closed here, a door closed there. So then when it comes election time, they kind of feel like, I'm out here struggling. And what y'all doing for me? And I do feel like when I told a lot of them, get engaged, let people hear your story. And there's a couple of guys who are returning citizens who have been out there pushing. And to be honest, and I told one of them, I said, make sure you run for office, make sure you get out there, because that's what people need to see in order for there to be change. To be honest, in the defense of some of the elected officials, some of the groups, there are groups that are just very, very engaged. They're going to know about what legislations are being passed. They're going to know. And to be honest, it's kind of hard because a lot of elected officials have to focus on those. And then you got these people that are like, I don't want to have anything to do with the system. It's only but so much that one person can do. So I've been pushing people. If that's what I'm saying. Felons' rights, a lot of that came from a lot of those who are leaving the criminal justice system deciding they want to get involved. And that's what we need to focus. That's what we need to get out to our people. It takes us. We have to make the change, and we cannot leave it in the hands of everyone, especially during the Obama years. We left it in, we failed by leaving everything in the lap of Obama. But that wasn't, we should have known that our purpose, other groups were out there right in front of his face, pass this bill, do this. And we weren't there because we were like, oh, he's one of us. But the truth is, we should have been there. We have to been there. And Obama did a lot for us, but it's like, we have to learn in our community to be engaged.
Well, I think, when you talk about engagement, I think this COVID-19 has been a curse and a blessing, because I think it has put us in a position now to make sure that when we start talking about things that has disproportionately affected the Black community, we are now fighting for harder and more than we ever had before. When you start looking at the civil rights movement and the things that happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, we are now starting to understand the impact of police reform. So I think, you start looking at these incidents that have been happening around the world, that now we are focusing in on how those things has affected our community for so many years that we must start doing something about it. In the state of Maryland, we passed the bill to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour. In the state of Maryland, we passed that returning citizens now have the right to vote. So we pass now more entrepreneurships for our folks that want to get jobs. We pass bills that say that we want to make now business opportunities for not only people of color, but for those that are returning citizens now to be able to get the funding and other things that they want to leave.
Yes, sir.
As the chair of the Black Caucus, I guarantee you our agenda is set to make sure that we are affecting change within our community. When you start looking at foreclosure and eviction rates, you'll see the legislation that we're putting forth that says we're going to make change right here in the state of Maryland. The Speaker of the House has already said that we're going to have a more Afrocentric agenda during this upcoming session. We're looking out for Black folks in ways that we have never done in the history of the state of Maryland. So don't tell me that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. it's oftentimes it gets overlooked by some of the things that shadow us, but we are working extremely hard to make some change, not only for Black Americans, but for every citizen here in the state of Maryland.
And that's so important, Delegate Barnes, because it seemingly to me, it doesn't matter. It matters, don't get me wrong, who is in office as president, but it takes us as a people to speak up and demand what we want.
Absolutely.
We have to demand what we want.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if we don't speak up, then no one is going to think that it doesn't matter. And they just keep giving us crumbs.
I think it goes back to Wallace's point, where when Obama was in office, we just assumed, we got a Negro in there, we're good. We don't have to talk to him. He already know our plight. No. It's important that you continue to address these issues. It's important that you continue to talk to these elected officials, because even though we know when there's more power being put on you, then you have a tendency to react in a positive way. One of the things that Al Sharpton told me, he said, Delegate Barnes, I've been hearing some real good things about you. And I was shocked. I said, wow, thank you. He said, but one of the things you need to understand is I need you the best that you can be on the inside, but use folks like me on the outside. Meaning I need more of you all on the outside raising Cain, talking about where the hell is the bill for foreclosure? My people are being evicted. Where's the opportunities for small business? We're not getting funded. Where are the opportunities for this sports betting that you all want me to vote on, but you all are not talking about equity and inclusion?
Come on now.
That I need you to start advocating for, because then it makes my job a little bit easier on our inside. That way I can say, listen, the people on the outside are going to tear this damn building down if we don't get our stuff together. But if no one is jumping up and down and talking about we want change, then it's hard for change to happen. And even though you may have a small pocket of people doing it, it's the totality of folks that's going to really make the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I may for a minute, y'all, speaking of speaking up, connecting the dots, being engaged. Look, we have Dr. Hattie Washington weighing in. We have Dr. Bruno Mazzali weighing in. And look, Belinda Queen said Delegate Barnes is her favorite delegate. Come on now.
So Renee, I think Dr. Hattie Washington said something. Can you read what she said in her?
It's gone. Maybe Peggy can read it. Yeah, it was something she said. It was a long paragraph, and I didn't know it was good as she wrote it.
Oh, here it is. It's right there. It's right there.
Can you read it? I was talking to an Hispanic friend. He told me that they detest other immigrants getting everything free when he and his family came over to USA and did everything they were supposed to do to get citizenship. They work hard, pay taxes. Why can't they do the same? That's why quite a few Hispanics are for Trump.
Well, this is, again, fake news. The fact that the immigrant will come here and get things for free is just not true. I come from an immigrant family. I'm around immigrant communities. I mean, it is not easy for people, especially for the Hispanic community. If those that are coming here undocumented, you don't get free things. You might get, so it is one of those things where for those groups, you really have to work for everything that you get. That's why people kind of the thought of immigrants having, most immigrants come here, like my dad, he was delivering pizza. He was delivering paper. He was working at 3, 4, 5 jobs. That is common in the immigrant community. It is one of those things where most of the time when you plan events, you got to be careful because people working. I mean, I represent nurses, mostly immigrant communities, and a lot of them have 2, 3 jobs because a lot of them are helping to support people who come over here. But not only that, they're helping to support themselves. It is a very much of a working group. So the idea that there is not very many immigrants that are just sitting here for free. So this is about, and a lot of this, let me just tell you, there's a lot of now documentaries coming out about how much fake information has come out. And we're not just going to throw this on Fox News. I feel like Fox News plays into it, but YouTube has been infamous for spreading a lot of false information. I mean, I was about to get on a panel of someone that was telling me that hospitals were given a bunch of money. If they had every COVID patient, they get $7,000, and they were given this from. I was like, where'd you get that from? Most hospitals are actually losing money because people don't want to go to the hospital anymore.
Absolutely.
So because they don't even have the people coming in like they used to, because people
President
don't want
Trump
to
is
take.
saying that, Walla. President Trump is saying that.
And you're right. And it's our president is spreading fake information. So it's very frustrating when I keep hearing people talking about, oh, everyone is free. All these people are getting free things. All these people, even this whole welfare queen, I grew up in Southeast DC, where it's like, I mean, I lived near a hood, and you want to see how those people live. The woman next door to me, like, of course, she was in public housing, had a car seat for a couch. You telling me, like, when you see those places, it is extreme poverty. So you definitely have people who are taking advantage of the system. But to pretend like everybody is this welfare queen that's just walking around here. Somebody said that people that live in the hood are shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue. I mean, these are the things you're hearing that you're like, what? They don't even know. Most of them don't even get on the train. That they can't even. They're not even know these stores because they can't afford them. They're a discount mart, buying everything the first of the month. So it's just like some of this stuff is just false information, and it is very frustrating. Some of it, discussions with a lot of the Black men that I've spoken with, even those that fall for this, they have fallen for it. They always, every time I say, send me where you get the information from, it's always a YouTube video.
But they can't tell you where. They can't send you the
They will send you. They will send you the YouTube video. They will send you the YouTube video that's made by somebody who cannot be verified.
Exactly.
That look at coronavirus is actually where we've seen them. I'm pretty sure people are dead because of the false information that's come out. One of the things that came out, somebody's like, Bill Gates has this patent of a vaccine. You don't understand that once you patent something, anybody can get access to it. So show me where the patent is, because we can go to the patent website right now and you show me where it is. And then they said, well, I have a YouTube video. So they had a YouTube video of some guy reading a patent number. What? So I said, let's pull this patent number up. And they couldn't. So the point is that they were kind of realizing, oh, wait, this is fake, but that's what we're dealing with.
So Delegate Bonds, anyone can answer this question, but because it is a political question, how important is it that they vote, or is one tonight on the Senate seats?
Listen, I think I said it earlier. We have to have control in order to truly be effective. If Biden wins, or when Biden wins, he needs to be able to take the lessons learned from those Obama years. Meaning, when Obama first came in office, he had the power of the House and the Senate. But being that he was a Black man learning the ropes and still being hit upside the head every step of the way, his authority or power was still somewhat challenged and limited. But now you have Biden in office, I think we will be able to get more done from the different programs and different things that Walla is speaking about with the power of the House and the Senate. When you start looking at the power that Trump had, and this is what I don't think a lot of people look at, the power that this guy has had, he's been able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. That's because of the power of the Senate. Yeah. If you look at the other federal judges that he's appointed around the country, it is astonishing.
Yes.
Right? All of them are white.
All of them.
The last count was only 1 or 2 Black people out of the 88 that he's appointed. That's the power that he has. Right? So the Senate seat that we're watching closely, and I really hope my man Jamie out of South Carolina can pull it off, because
yes. So that would get Graham out of office, correct?
Graham out.
Move him out.
Graham and
you look at all those down ballots that are so critical to the things that we're all sitting here talking about and how it affects us and our families. Right? You start talking about generational wealth that we're all trying to create, and with the impact that this is going to have. We're talking about the climate control, and this guy does not believe in climate control. And you look at all the tornadoes and hurricanes that we've had already. Listen, we are in some trying times right now. I don't think everyone fully understands the magnitude of where we are. And I'm just hearing, it really disturbs me when I see Black folks talking about I'm voting for Trump because of taxes.
Oh my God.
Right. When you got $80, they said like I'm saying you voting for him for $80 when you got all these other things that cost way more, and you're voting him because you got $80 more in your taxes. Really? Are you really looking at this? And that just goes to show how our people, a lot of our people are just not fully understanding what they have and what they're going to lose. So, I mean, yes, he's right. Like you do have people that are like, I'm going to vote for him because of taxes, and they're not even gaining. You're like, okay, well, what did you look at what you gain and look at what, somebody like Jeff Bezos gained from taxes, not to mention we're talking about a company that's not even paying taxes for for years. So you're not if you look at the grand scheme, you're not getting very much, but a lot of the programs that you're missing out on that they're not going to fund because we have Trump pulling back, that's really where you get your real money. And that's worth more than $80.
Yeah.
So how much do you all believe? I know, Linda, did you want to ask a question? Because a lot of things that we're hearing, who is also other countries are in our elections. They're tampering with our elections.
Yes.
And that's a huge problem. What do you say, Renee?
We know who, his buddy, his best friend.
Well, it comes down to money. It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money. And so he's betting on the fact that he can't lose because he's got a lot on the line. What do you say, Linda?
It's usually any kind of distraction that he can possibly throw in there. It's always a distraction for us. There's either the money, it's other countries. He just throws out things, and it just he thinks it's going to take us off where he's really going. And that's how the game he plays. You have to watch it very closely.
Well, Wyoming, you say it's money and you're right. But how do y'all feel about this? Because outside of money, when you have relationships, things happen, just like Peggy and Daryl always say, connecting the dots. So I think it's a little bit more than money now, because they did that 4 years ago. And now, I mean, it's all about taking down the United States. I mean, we are the power, and when you have, I think it's all about now power. Now that the money's kind of been there, I think it's now about the power and cutting us at the knees when they get the opportunity. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, because you know what? America is losing its whole moral ground. And so that's what so many people are counting on. And so when you think about the other economies and you think about the other countries, they're trying to get to where America used to be in control. So when you think about China, when you think about Russia, so it's more. And the thing is that they know they can bombard just run right over Trump, because Trump is only thinking about himself. He's not thinking about the country. He's not thinking about the people. And so those people that are falling lock sync with him are losing, and the country as a whole is going to lose.
Absolutely.
Beyond these 4 years, right?
Yeah.
But the question is, at what cost?
I'm curious to see what Daryl thinks about that.
Listen, I think, it goes back to what Wallace said earlier, where, you have this fake news and people have to truly do their homework and pay attention.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we can't always, have a Peggy on our side and we know she's done her homework and we go to her for advice. Right? So we have to be smart about the decisions that we're making and the impact that it's having not only on ourselves, but our family and our communities.
Mm-hmm.
The world is watching this election like never before right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
See,
Yes, they are.
The first time we voted for him, we said we'll give him a chance. If we re-elect this guy, he comes back into office, it just goes to show where the United States is as a whole and what our values truly are. Right? Which I think is going to make it even more difficult for Black and brown people to truly advance.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy has already said he wants to be a dictator.
Oh, yeah.
And if we lose the Senate, if we don't gain control of the Senate, he's really going to show his true colors.
Yes.
Those that voted for him for, like Wallace said, for that little extra $80 in your pocketbook, I think you're going to really find yourself kicking yourself in the behind, saying, what the hell did I just do?
Yes. Yes. And here we
They're
have
gonna
this
suffer.
platinum plan.
They're
I'm
gonna
not
suffer.
understanding what's going on with this platinum plan. Because somebody please tell me what is really going on. Walla can't hear you, Walla. Unmute.
Oh, so no, I mean, I don't even know anything about this platinum plan, but I did go to Ice Cube's because I was very frustrated with Ice Cube. Oh my God, just so frustrated. Because it's like, you know, here we are been fighting these fights and you've been silent and now you decide to put a plan together. You know what I mean? You know, like, I mean, Ice Cube could have used, I mean, look, why he didn't reach out to Daryl Barnes with the Black Caucus and say, how can I help you all? He's not doing he didn't care about that. He just wants media attention. So I looked at this plan.
One-sheeter, right?
The police accountability. It had different sections full of things that Democrats are doing now, or even working on. So it's like you're just sitting up there. What he did was he went online, searched some things, threw some things on the plate. Like one of them is like chokeholds. And he's like, you know, and then you're giving that to the president. A lot of these police accountability issues are local issues. You don't even know that. You didn't even do your research. He's talking about banks. You know what? And the bigger part of this is that let's call it what it is. We're in a majority African-American county. And I think, you know, Delegate Barnes could tell you a lot of our top elected officials, how hard it is to tell companies to come to our county and put their businesses up. They don't want to take the risk. They don't want to come to our county. They're looking at majority African-American home ownership and like, we're not interested. How much more could we benefit if a lot of these celebrities that have the money, somebody like Ice Cube, to say, you know what, you don't have to go to Las Vegas for the economic thing to meet some people and beg them to come to your county. We are coming and we're going to bring the business. We're going to put the money, we're going to invest, we're going to create incubators. You got a lot of these folks that we have a lot of Black people in our community who want investments in their businesses, but it's hard because the government can't do everything. That's what I tell everybody. Some people will be like, yeah, that people depend too much on the government. They're talking about individuals, but they realize it takes a lot of money to help, especially when we have a lot of communities in our neighborhoods in need. It takes so much money to help them. So we need the help of people like Ice Cube, some of these bigger names, to come and say, we'll take the risk. Like a Magic Johnson, we'll put something in your neighborhoods. And we don't have that in the Black community. Some of the other communities put brick and mortar in their communities. We have people with real money and we do not put it in our own community. So this is about, as Delegate Barnes talked about, working with each other. Like a lot of these big celebrities, like I want to see them do more than go out and talk to community. Where's your dollars? Put your dollars in your Black community.
Yes.
We shouldn't even need to ask anybody. When it comes to Prince George's County, you got like Tyler Perry that puts his studio right in the middle of Atlanta. That's what we want. We need those type of things. We need someone to say, I got an idea. I need a brick and mortar. I'm going to put it in the community because once I put it in a Black community, I hire my own. I can give to my own. I can even help the people in our community. Or maybe I can just be an investor into crowdfunding into Black run companies.
Well, while I know one that's doing it right now, Dr. Lance London with the Carolina Kitchen. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
He's getting ready to build a few more. He is really, that's one right there. But I know there's a few others.
Yeah, and I commend him because he's been doing it though.
Yes.
A lot of Lance Londons. You know, we need more. We need a lot more who can come and build in the community, where not only for schools, but for businesses. So to educate our young people how to be entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And how to leave a legacy in our community, because that's where we're lacking. And if we do not understand that now is the time for us to get serious about this, we have Delegate Barnes, we have a Peggy, we have others who are fighting on the front line, you know, for different things that the community needs. We talk about this on the show every Saturday. You all know we're talking about topics that are impacting us as a people, period.
Yes, ma'am.
We deal with these issues. Is it on the table to be dealt with? Is it on the table?
One thing I know that we have got to do, and I know Delegate Barnes did it with Men Aiming Higher, and there's other things going on, but we have got to concentrate on uplifting and educating and definitely empowering our Black young men, because the Black women really got it going on already. Things have been poured into them excessively. We got to concentrate on the Black men.
Yeah, you know, I think we need more people to look at people like you all, right? people emulate what they see. And if they can continue to see programming like this, to be able to see strong Black women and men have dialogue and conversation about important issues, then in a child's mind, they're saying, I want to be like that person there. And we don't often have conversations that impact the world where our young people can see those things. You know, they see what they see on TV, Ice Cube and his rhetoric and Trump and all his foolishness, you know, but they really need to see strong Black men and women that are truly fighting for and working together, building collaborative relationships and talking about this is how we can impact the change, right? I need to see as an elected official more Walla Brigades out there talking about I'm fighting for these issues, not for myself, but for my community, right? That encourages me to say I want to work with this person because we share the same ideology. The methodology may be a little bit different, but the approach is the same. We're trying to figure out how do we help and how do we make a change within our community. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we're all here. That's why there's Sisters for Sisters Live. That's why there's a Men Aiming Higher. That's why there's so many other organizations out there, because we saw a need and saying, how can we make a greater impact within our community? And I think that's where it all starts. And I think Renee is absolutely correct. Not only do we need to look at our young boys, but we also need to look at our young girls, and we have to provide hope and opportunity for them to strive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely,
Wow.
yes.
Unbelievable. You know, I knew for a fact to bring Delicate Bell Barnes and Walla, it's going to be dangerous, guys. These two, I just love them so much because they know the struggle that we deal here in Prince George's County. And it's going to take not those two, it's going to take so many of us to come to the table and say, hey, let's have a conversation and another conversation.
Can someone help me understand what was the situation with the governor? I understand he did this voting for
Reagan?
Yeah. I'm being facetious, but I mean, some people don't understand what was that all about. Did anybody get an understanding to what that was about?
You know, his rationale was he was not for Trump and he was not for Biden, so he wanted to just write a name in. But at the end of the day, I think we set a precedence of folks that are watching and observing.
Yes.
It goes back to just what Renee said. You know, how are we educating people if you're doing foolishness like this? The times are so important right now that, you know, we must embrace the fact that we have to figure out how do we eradicate systemic racism? How do we put more people to work? How do we stop the evictions and foreclosures that's going on in this country? How do we put more people to work from a job perspective? How do we start funding Black banks, right? How do we do all these things? And then when you have our leaders at the top of the food chain doing this foolishness for attention, I think it just sends the wrong message.
Wrong message, yes.
And you know what? And just to speak on that, and I think that we have to be careful who we look up to. We have to take matters in our own hand and educate ourselves. We have to know what the issues are, and we have to vote accordingly. But we also have to make sure that we are doing things that are in alignment with our values. And we can't always listen to the news. We can't always follow those things. Some things are just common sense. If we would just study it and start seeking out information. And I think a lot of times we just get so overtaken by all of the sound bites. We don't do the research ourselves.
Yeah, and that's the problem. A lot of them don't do the research. A lot of them are not looking at or listening to or watching what they need to educate. All they see and hear is the rhetoric.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Listen, I have one last question for both.
We have to educate ourselves.
Sure. Yes, definitely.
My last question is, you know, the polls are closed now as of 8 p.m. So what would you say, Walla and Delegate Barnes, to the people, especially people of color who did not vote?
Yes. Good question, Renee.
Thank you,
Good
sis.
question.
And okay, well, let me let Delegate Barnes go first, but I have a lot to say to them.
No, I'm gonna let you go first.
Say ladies first.
Yeah, I'm right behind you on that one.
They are part of the problem. They are part
Yeah.
of the problem. The lack of engagement in our community is why there are people who are frustrated.
Right.
If we do not vote, it starts with voting. It starts with showing where you stand on what issues. And then that's the beginning of civic engagement. You know what? Frankly, some of these people are talking about just people dying. Not only do people die for us to get to vote, but you go to other countries where people vote and it doesn't matter. They throw out the ballot box and then they determine who the election is. And we're not that country. I mean, you definitely have voter suppression and things like that. But the reality is that we can make a determination of who wins and loses in our election, who runs our country, who runs our state, who runs our local politics. So it is definitely one of those things where we control the narrative in our communities by voting. And that's just the beginning. And the next part of it is getting engaged. A lot of the people that I've heard frustrated are not engaged. They're not engaged. They do not know who their elected officials is. They frankly don't really vote. And then they're saying, oh, well, what's wrong with Trump? Democrats haven't done nothing, or this person hasn't done anything. It's like, but you don't even know what's going on. You don't engage. And in the Black community, that's our problem. And if we do that, you're going to see more Trump and Trump-like people get elected because they figure that people like those folks that didn't vote won't be paying attention, and they'll get in and make their lives and impact their lives and have them frustrated. And I noticed that a lot of people who are not engaged are frustrated with what's going on in their world, and they're frustrated because they're not engaged. So you're getting what you almost like your lack of engagement, your lack of voting is why you are sitting in a position where you feel like the government can't help you. Why? You're not around, you're not engaged, you're not voting, and you're the problem.
Bam, boom, pada.
I think Walla really summed it up beautifully. And I'm gonna just take another stab and just say, let's look at in our own backyard. Here in Prince George's County, we have close to 1 million residents that live right here in Prince George's County. But yet we won't come out to vote for our own elected officials, statewide or county, right? I think, the highest we've ever had was almost 200,000 or 300,000 people vote. And you got 1 million people that live here.
Wow.
Some of the most critical people up for election right now, which is our judges. And once again, if we don't come out and vote, then you wonder why this person that's sitting on the bench that's continuously locking up Black folks over small infractions time and again, because we did not do our homework to say, let me see who I'm actually putting on this bench for a 10-year term. Right. So I think, it's important that we all have to exercise our right to vote, because if not, it's that famous word, you continue to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, you're going to get the same thing. You look at all the things that I've been talking about, from the economy to transportation to economics to education, all of those things impact your quality of life every single day. But yet, I'm not going to exercise my right to vote. It's the damnest thing in the world to me. But yes, so many people do it.
Wow.
So this is a question I definitely, before we leave tonight, want to ask Wall as well as Delegate Barnes, anyone can answer it. But to help understand more of those who may not, that are watching us and hearing us, what is the importance of an electoral vote and a popular vote?
The Electoral College. So the reality is that the Electoral College, based on Constitution, determines the outcome of the election. That determines the how many votes that you get per state, and if you win the state overall, the 270. I think at this point, what we're realizing is that this was done so that very less populated states will be able to have a bigger say in their election. And what we're seeing is that twice we've been burned by this, where we won the popular vote because Democratic states are usually much more populous, so they have higher numbers. However, they have to compete with less popular states because of the fact of the Electoral College. Whereas this time, what we're saying is that this is going against a true democracy. You know, it's funny because, you know, my family comes from African countries where people turn to African countries and say, oh, you guys are not democratic. You all don't have a democratic system. But then the Electoral College is contrary to a true democratic system because the people do not determine the numbers of people, as in who votes. The highest number of actual individuals that vote do not determine election. And that's what we saw with Bush v. Gore. And of course, you all know to change the Constitution takes a lot. And it takes, it takes quite a bit. You need 2/3 and you need a 2/3 majority and you need the approval of states. So it does take a lot. And right now we're in a time of the American history where it is so contentious. So it's hard. It's very partisan. The partisanship has in its highest. The fact that we're looking at Trump winning states when he's really just against the interests of them. They are just voting for him because they're like, I'm Republican and I vote Republican and I vote with no matter what, even if it's contrary to my interests. So we need to really get to the point where we remove this process of the Electoral College and the popular vote determines that, meaning that you have to get the most individuals to vote for you to win an election. That is a true democracy. And now it's like, it tells you that the United States cannot turn up their nose at any other country for not having a true democracy when we're in a country that does not have a true democracy.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah. Delegate Barnes, did you have anything to add to that? Did you have anything?
Yes.
He said no.
I think it's spot on.
Yeah, that was spot on.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we definitely need to get rid of the Electoral College. I think it needs to be a popular vote. At the end of the day,
yes, it should be. Definitely.
And the last I checked, the non-white electoral colleges were ahead for Trump.
Yeah, listen, I'm watching CNN now, and 92% of the vote, and Trump is winning Florida.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to take Florida, you know, and it looks like we're going to take North Carolina. So I mean, I
hope we take South Carolina. Jesus, did we take South Carolina?
He won South Carolina.
No, we lost South Carolina.
Oh, I didn't watch
South Carolina. So Wale, you said he's going to lose North Carolina too.
Yeah, he's going to lose North Carolina. But Trump is going to win Florida. But that just means that this might go to court if Trump wins Florida because he needed Florida. If he lost Florida, then it was over. Like he cannot win. Now that he's winning Florida, and it looks like he is going to win Florida. Now I would tell you all the difference in votes is like maybe 40,000. So that could change as they're counting all the votes. And I know, you know, so we need to see, but it does not look like it's possible. It looks like he wins Florida. So if he wins Florida, and then Biden needed to win one of the sort of swing states in order to kind of change it. And it looks like he's projected to win North Carolina. So if he does win North Carolina, that means that it will be a tighter race. And it looks like one of those things where if we win North Carolina and Ohio, it looks like the polls did actually show, and I don't know what people saw, but the polls did actually project that Trump was winning in Florida poll wise for weeks now. I mean, we're looking at 2%, and it looks like it's just going to be what the polls. So it looks like.
I was just going to ask about that.
Hasn't come in yet.
Okay,
but he's upset. He's upset about the decision that the judges made on that in Pennsylvania. So he's upset about that.
But the biggest thing, you guys, is Texas. If we win Texas, that will be historic. You know, Texas has always been red, and it is
Republican.
It is leaning blue. So if we pull,
it is leaning blue. Yeah. So with that being said, we got a lot to be stay prayerful for. If y'all never prayed hard before, pray tonight.
Pray
and
now.
Ask God
pray
to
now.
Hear our cry, oh God.
Well, I just say continue to pay attention. Because it's going to be a long night.
Yes, it is.
You know, right now from the Electoral College votes, Biden is winning 73. He has 73, and Trump has 42.
48.
I see. I have 119.92. Oh, you know what? That might be projected. Let me just say I have 119.92 because they called all of the blue states now. But you know what? These things are leaning. So let me fall back. The one that you have is probably more like. Actually, the AP has already called it.
Yeah, so I think, you know, it's just going to be a long night.
It is gonna be a long night.
Tune in to 1450. I'll be on tonight closing out. It's my first job. So I can't wait to talk about the wrap up of this election.
Oh, wow.
And what's the call number? What's the call?
1450
AM.
What
Yeah,
time?
that's radio,
That's-
1450.
At what time?
11 a.m. 11 p.m.
11
Got
p.m.
Well, Wyoming and Peggy are wearing blue, so I just feel Biden got this.
I like it. I like it.
And look, I got on my pink green for Biden.
Don't play me cheap, girl.
Look, I got some chocolates that say Biden and some chocolate. Y'all see my Facebook? Those chocolates I found with Biden and Kamala.
Yeah. So we want to thank you, Walla. We want to thank you, Delegate Barnes.
Yes.
We're not going to take up much more of your time.
Thank
all
you,
of you all
Walla.
who have
Yes.
joined us tonight. We just wanted
Thank
to
you.
just come on and be able
Thank
to
you.
connect. You know, we're about connecting. We're about making it happen. And Peggy thought not Robert to have you two on tonight. Is that the candy you talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Biden and Kamala.
No, look, are you going to partake in it, or are you going to leave it for souvenir?
When he wins, I'm gonna eat this live on Facebook.
Hey, look, lady, I got champagne in the refrigerator, and then look, I might have to go to the vodka.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's a champagne night.
You might look. I don't know. You might have to wait till 2 weeks to pop that champagne.
Well, I'll be on at 11 p.m. Delegate Barnes, I will be on at 11 p.m. We are going to be listening to you.
I appreciate
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Look, we're gonna all be up
11
tonight.
p.m.
Oh,
I appreciate
God.
all the
Yes.
support, and I really appreciate Walla being on here. I think she's doing an outstanding job.
Yes. Yes.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Go,
Thank you,
Walla.
Walla.
Thank you, Walla. Thank you.
Walla, and thank you, Delegate Barnes. We
Thank-
appreciate
Thank you all so
Thank you,
much. And you all
Delegate
continue to just keep us lifted up. Everybody in the community, stay safe,
Thank you,
y'all.
Renee.
Stay safe. Absolutely. Bye-bye.
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 Love
Bye.
y'all.
Love you.
Bye-bye.